Welcome back, everyone. I just want to say huge thank you to our Winnebago County and Oshkosh food service directors, as well as all of their food service staff for all of that prep work with making the ratatouille. And a big special thank you to our local farmers for growing all of that delicious and healthy produce that our kids can enjoy all year long during the school year. So joining me now are Dani Stoley, founder and CEO of Growing Oshkosh, and Jenn Sattler from Growing Oshkosh's school garden coordinator. So thank you both ladies for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So we're going to talk a little bit about Growing Oshkosh and then kind of how Rethink and Growing Oshkosh have been working together. So Growing Oshkosh is an urban farm. Mm-hmm. So for those that don't know what an urban farm is, Dani, can you explain a little bit about what that means?
Sure. So an urban farm, like the name would imply, is in an urban setting. So rather than being a large-scale, many-acre farm out in the rural setting, it's actually in town. Many urban farms also tend to be much smaller than the rural farms, and they tend to grow up. So our farm, for example, is only slightly over 1 acre, and the urban farm that I trained at down in Milwaukee in Growing Power is just a little bit over 3 acres. And they also tend to be year-round growers, too, growing many different crops at many different times of the year.
So how do you grow different crops during different times of the year? Wisconsin's somewhat challenging when it comes to growing things in like January.
Yes, well, and particularly last January was really, really tough. Well, we grow traditional vegetables, traditional flowering and root vegetables in our raised garden beds at the farm during the summer. In the spring and the fall, we have extended crops that we can either cover with low tunnels or we can grow in our year-round hoop houses. Hoop houses are like greenhouses, but they're hooped and not steepled. And then we grow our shoots and we grow our shoots, one of our niche products in our office, but we grow our microgreens year round in our hoop houses, and those will be heated throughout the winter, we hope, this year.
Thing with farming is always a challenge. There's always something different. Yes. So one of the I know, along with all the stuff going on with Growing Oshkosh, we didn't even get into the worms and the vermiculture. That's a whole other show. But anyway, so if you're into worms and vermiculture, just check out Growing Oshkosh. Anyways, right. But one of the newer things has been working with school gardens. So Rethink and Growing Oshkosh kind of came together to do this whole school garden project. So can you kind of explain how that got going?
Yeah, we were first founded 2 years ago in 2012, and we did our first off-farm project with Head Start, actually. And it went really, really well. The kids really, really loved what we did for them. We went in and we sowed some seeds with them. We built the gardens. We planted it for them, and then when they come back in the fall, they got to see kind of the fruits of their labor. And we really didn't realize at first that school gardens were going to be one of our major programs. We knew it was going to be part of our mix of programs, but we didn't really realize how big it would be. And then in the following year, in 2013, we partnered with Rethink. We're kind of the boots on the ground part, whereas Rethink is more of the nutrition and health aspect. So we got together. I met with Sarah Wright, and we started talking, and we said, we have to do some pilot projects. Let's go with the lower income, the SAGE schools first. So we did 2 pilot projects last year at Emmeline Cook and Webster Stanley Elementary. Most of those were grant funded. And the kids just really, really, they absolutely loved it, and so we're developing programming around it, which is in the schools during the school year and in the summer outside. And we're going to continue. Our board has made we made a commitment that we're going to put school gardens at all Oshkosh area schools, and also within the county as well, Winnebago County, Needham, and Asha. So.
Which is super awesome. Really exciting stuff, and you get to be out there and see the kids. Dirt and all this kind of stuff. So building the garden isn't just like a poof magic it's done. It's like there's actually work that has to be done. So Jenn, can you kind of explain, how do the gardens get built? Who does the work? How does that all get going?
Yeah, definitely. So there's a couple really big days. So the first day is kind of the build/setup day that we got to do. So our facilities manager actually pre-makes all of the garden beds for us, and then we get a group of volunteers to come in, and we bring the garden beds to the schools, and then we set them up, and then we have to fill them full of dirt, and then We lay out lots of wood chip around it to make it really nice and accessible for all of the children and the parents, so everybody has equal access to the gardens. So that's kind of like the setup and building part. And then we have 2 really big days with the schools. So we have our seed sowing day where we go into the classrooms and we partner the kids together and we ask them questions like, what does a plant need? And, how do you get a plant from a seed? And all these really fun things.
Interesting answers.
Yeah,
to those
yeah, yeah. They're always really excited to be like, oh, vegetables pop out of a seed, and we're like, well, there's a few steps in there first.
Okay.
So then we sow the seeds, and then we actually leave the seeds in their care, and then we go away from the schools for a month or 2 and let the students water the seeds, put them in sun, and let them grow their own seedlings. And then we come back, a month later when it's finally warm outside, and then we have a transplanting day. So we bring the kids out and they come out with their seeds and they're super excited. And then we have them dig in the dirt, dig the holes, and then they put the seeds in, cover it up, or the seedlings rather, cover them up with dirt, and then they get to water them and, be like, woo, we planted our seeds, and they're super excited just to see them grow and play with the worms and everything.
Right? My kid doesn't like worms, right? Again, a whole nother show. Yeah. So, and that's, being able to actually literally get their hands dirty is a great way for them to learn about, there's a nutritional education component with school gardens, so it's great to get them to learn how plants grow, where their food comes from, and then other types of nutrition education where Rethink will go into the classrooms, and our Farm to School AmeriCorps member helps kids understand, how you can prepare different types of vegetables from the gardens, or what do you do with microgreens, or this is lettuce, and what you can make things more than a salad with lettuce, So, and just being able to try some of the food, it's awesome when, you've got a big thing of cherry tomatoes and the kids can go out there and just pluck them off and eat them. So that's a lot of, what the Rethink side is, just so our viewers are aware that there's lots of different components to school gardens, and, we hope that the kids and the parents just, experience all the magic, and we all do all the nitty-gritty and stuff. So, but yeah, so can you talk a little bit about, how the partnership has been going, and
sure,
and
yeah,
what's going on?
Like I mentioned, our board has made a commitment to do all Oshkosh area school districts and all Oshkosh area schools, public and private. I know that Rethink just submitted a rather large grant to the CDC, of which we are a partner. Fingers crossed on that one. If Rethink gets that CDC grant, then that means that Growing Oshkosh becomes the beneficiary of some funds to help build 3 or 4 schools a year. And we've been going at a pace of about 2 to 3. We'd like to be able to do more. It's very time sensitive, obviously.
Small windows.
Yeah, very small windows. I mean, we sow the seeds in April, and that, that's not weather dependent. That's just in the classroom. But then it becomes really hard trying to juggle year-end field trips and last lesson plans, and the fact that most kids' heads aren't there anymore, and and try and do that day. But we've been really, really good. This partnership with Rethink has been really phenomenal because, as I said, we're really the boots on the ground. We build the beds, and more specifically Bob Bowman, who's our facilities manager, builds our beds. And we try to do this with as much reused material as possible as well. So we put organic compost in there. We also use organic worm castings. And it's a rather large hands-on part that we do. But then Rethink really takes it to the next level, whereas we're kind of bringing the kids outside and, like you said, getting them dirty, and then Rethink steps in and says, but wait a minute, after you get dirty, don't forget to wash your hands. right? Because that's a very big lesson with the kids, is it's fine to get dirty, but then don't forget to wash your hands. And Jenny and I have actually been, we're sometimes guilty of that ourselves when we're at the farm. Oh yeah, we should wash our hands. But this last, the inaugural year in 2013, when we did Emmeline Cook and Webster Stanley, were really, really great. This year we did Washington Elementary, and next week, in fact, we're doing our largest project ever at Merrill, and it'll be a project with both the elementary and the middle school. And then we also did a project this year up at Shattuck Middle School in Neenah for an at-risk program. And so we're like I said, we're trying to reach out into more Winnebago counties, but we're really, really concentrated on getting those particularly low-income elementary schools And so the next portion of what we do after we get Washington done this year, Merrill done, next year we would like to complete a project at Reed and then Oak Lawn, so that we have a continuum, K through 12 of schools that go to Oshkosh North. So we've got one end of town taken care of. So.
Yeah, which is so great. This is something, like you said, we did not expect this to be as huge as it is, and everyone's like super on board with it, and just figuring it out.
And we thought there would be some resistance, and there was a little bit of resistance on the part of the schools, the faculty and staff. Like, are you adding some curriculum to? What are you doing? And we want to explain that everything that we do is for the sake of the school. All the food grown goes to the students at the school. Everything that we do is free. All of the workshops, the garden build, the soil, the plants, everything is free to the school so far. So we'll see how that works in the future.
Right.
But it's just been a really, really great process and a great partnership. And the school board has come on, and I think that a lot of parents and neighbors especially have really, really enjoyed the gardens.
So speaking of the gardens and some of the food, we're in prime harvest time right now, but depending on when you're watching this program, it might not be school in session right now. So who's been taking care of the gardens over the summertime?
All right, so it's kind of a transition of starting up the garden. So starting off, like Growing Oshkosh, like I specifically really take care of like the watering and handling all of that. But we really want the schools and the neighborhoods to take ownership of these gardens. And so we host programs such as garden groups on a bi-weekly basis at the different schools, in which I'm available on time for the students and even teachers and parents to come. And if they're not familiar with how to take care of a garden, I show them, this is what a plant is. How to pick a vegetable, how to pull weeds, like what's a weed, what's not a weed, and then really have them harvest it themselves. And it's been exciting to see. I walk over to the playground at Emily and Kick, and I'll be like, do you want to come pick vegetables with me? And once the kids have done it once, they know how to do it, and they come back and they do it again and again. And that's just been really exciting to see happen. And so the schools are really starting to take ownership and starting to take it on themselves, which has just been fabulous. And so it's kind of been it's a push and pull between Growing Oshkosh and the schools to really like share the load of taking care of these gardens, which has been wonderful.
But and if you can pull a kid off a recess to go like, let's go pick garden vegetables, like you're doing something good, right? If anyone wants to get involved with harvesting vegetables or a plant day, how would they get a hold of you guys, or how would they get involved with that?
The easiest way is to email us at growingoshkosh@gmail.com. That way, that actually goes directly to our volunteer coordinator, and he can set you up with some watering shifts or harvesting or whatever you'd like to do at the farm. If you'd like to specifically work at the schools, we would love that. And if you are our parent or a neighbor, we really like that, because we like to have eyes on the gardens kind of throughout the summer. As I mentioned, we have our build coming up next week at Merrill, and so depending on when this airs, it might be over by then. But get in touch if you live near or around Merrill School and would like to see this 10-bed project come to fruition. Send us an email at growingoshkosh@gmail.com. Or alternatively, you can also call my cell at 920-420-4104.
And we won't throw that up on the screen.
Yeah,
so
thanks.
if you didn't get it right away, no, you can
email.
We'll tell you we'll give the rethink stuff in a second. So anyway, thank you both very much for being here today, talking about Growing Oshkosh and all the awesome ways that you're helping adults and kids grow and eat lots of different kinds of fruits and vegetables. So that about wraps up everything for today for this edition of Rethink. Good thing, because I'm getting pretty hungry. So we hope you enjoyed the show and are inspired to visit a farmer's market, try a new fruit and vegetable, get your hands dirty with some worms, or plan out a garden of your very own, or help at one of the school gardens popping up all throughout the county. So don't forget, you can always connect with Rethink via our Facebook page at Rethink, or at facebook.com/Rethink Winnebago, on Twitter at Rethink Winnebago, no O, on our blog or on our website. All the links to all of our social media is also available on our website at rethinkwinnebago.org. Again, if you're interested in helping out with school gardens, you can find a way to get a hold of us there, and we can connect you to Growing Oshkosh. So until next time, let's keep creating a community that makes the healthy choice the easy choice.